this is Noreen from Joy Cards, and today we are making a card from Beautiful World, and it's one of these little spinner cards. So this is going to be fun. Now, I did this a very unconventional way from what I usually do. I did this video in little pieces because I broke the cardinal rule of when you buy DS paper, buy at least 2 packs. Because when it comes to all this beautiful paper, they only give you like 2 sheets per image. And I blew the first image and I had to make a second one. So this is actually the card. You're actually seeing me kind of create it as we go. So lots of little takes, but I loved how this was kind of in the middle and I wanted it really bad. So here's the front, here's the inside. It goes through its various stages. So let's get started. Here's the DS paper, and you want to cut it a little wider than the card itself, just so you know you don't cut it too short. And then we're going to take that circle and we're going to take some purple tape, because you definitely don't want this puppy moving around, and don't put on too much because you don't want to rip your paper, and you want to center it in that circle. And then when you're putting the tape on, put the tape on so the tape's inside, because you know you're not going to necessarily use that for this card anyway, and if it rips, it's like no big deal. So it's in the middle of the card, so you're going to go and you're going to cut that out, and I'll be right back. So now we've got our piece here and we've cut out the middle. Now I just kind of cut it just randomly, just a little. I know it's going to be a little bigger than actually our piece because I wanted to cut this. But if you put this back in the middle here, what we need to do is we need to make sure that is in the middle, and we are going portrait and not landscape. So the 5.5 is going up and down, and if you take 5.5, and we want to make sure that we're hitting the outside of the circle. So 5.5, what you would have is 2 13/16 inch from the middle. So 13/16 is 3 clicks down from 3. So put that 2 13/16 here, take your pencil and mark it. And then the other side is easy because it's 5.5. So take that and mark it there. So here and there. And then the other direction where it's 4 1/4, it is 2 3/16. So you go 2 and 1 2 3/16, not an 1/8, the 16th. That's the tiny little one. And then mark it here. And the other side is easy because it's 4 1/4. Now, if you find it just outside of it, because maybe you have this, depending on how you cut this and all, but just make sure that 4 1/4 is right outside this double line here. So if you have to alter it a little bit, alter it a little bit. So I'm going to put this line here, and I'm going to put this line here, just so that centers where it should be. And then just take and pull out your line so you know where to cut, and that's how you're going to measure up your card. So I'm going to go ahead and pull these lines out, and I'm going to cut down the card. So I'll be right back. So we're going to take our cinnamon cider based piece, which is the 5.5 by 4 1/4, and we're going to take that DS paper we just cut and kind of line it up here. And if you need to tack it down with a piece of like purple tape, gently tack it down with a piece of purple tape. And then you're going to take a pencil again, and we're going to draw a circle in here, just so you know where to cut in the middle, so everything lines up. So we're going to do that, and then take the die here. Now figure out on the back where it's cutting, and it's right up to the edge. So we're kind of lucky that this particular die is like that. So the right up to the edge will be right here. And I think we have a little bit of fudge room to work with. So I'm going to go ahead and cut this, and I'll be right back. So here's that piece. that we cut out. You can save that for later. And you're going to take this and you're going to notice it lines up perfectly. So we're good. And even if you have to scooch it over a little bit, it looks good. So that is that second part. So now we've got the two planet pieces cut in the bumblebee, and you need to make two of the black pieces cut with the circle from the die set. Okay, now what we're going to do to get that to hang in the middle is we're going to take the copper wire and you're going to layer it up like 4 times and take off a good chunk so you have a bunch. So you just layer it up 4 times going back and forth, and then in the middle tie a knot. So it's going to look like this. So there's 4 layers of this thread on each side of that center knot. So then I'm going to grab a glue dot. Take your pick tool. This is off really nice. And take the unfinished side of your circle here, so the back side, and put a couple of them on there, because that thread, one of the reasons why you double it up is because it's so thin it'll move around. So really just kind of glue dot the you know what out of it, and maybe even like both sides, just so it hits that, you know, thin copper wire here. So I'm gonna put this like right in the middle, make sure it's hitting that, and then I'm gonna put the other one right on top. Okay, and it's on there good and tight. It's not gonna go anywhere. So, and here's your test. Is it, you know, is it doing its thing here? Then go ahead and grab your silicone craft sheet and your fine tip glue. I always use the fine tip glue. I don't care for the other green bottle stuff. I prefer Stampin' Up's fine tip glue. It works really well. I do a lot of intricate stuff, so I really need that precision tip rather than the other stuff, which isn't so precise. And then take a pair of tweezers and take it. Now you want to make sure, because this is going to be the top and bottom here, so you got to make sure you don't put your world on upside down. That wouldn't be good. So I'm going to make sure this is where it's supposed to be. Now that circle from the die set is just a tiny bit bigger than the planet, so you're going to have a black edge here. So this is the top, and then put it on the other side and do the same thing. Take your fine tip glue and glue it on up. Get all the little intersections here and the outside. Now you got it looking like this. Okay, so here's the important part. You need to make sure that this goes in between these layers, and the reason why we use the circle dies from the layering circles is because I wanted it to be bigger than the circle from the kit. I needed the circle to make the planet there, or the black piece for the planet, but I needed this space to be bigger. So we're going to take this and we gotta make that just completely stick. So I'm gonna use some tear tape, because tear tape's awesome. Tear tape is what you want to use for anything that you really want to stick. So if you got something heavy, you know, use your tear tape. I'm gonna put one here and here, just like in the middle, and then tear this off. We got our tear tape down, and you're gonna take your world here. I kind of want the United States to show on the correct side, on the front side. So I'm gonna take it and I'm gonna line it on that tear tape. I really want that to be held down good. And just to be sure, I'm gonna put another piece of tear tape on top of it. So grab yourself a good little piece and put it right over that string, and don't make it too long so it like sticks out on the sides, or get close to the side, but really you want that string to go nowhere. And another reason why we made the string 4 strings thick is because we didn't want it to break either. So that's not going to go anywhere. I guarantee you, it's, unless you pushed on it really hard, it's not budging, because tear tape is pretty permanent. Okay, now go ahead and take some scissors and cut off right below that tear tape. Okay. All right, so you got your tear tape down, and go ahead and make sure you got it all good before you hunker it down there. So this looks good to me. It's moving. Awesome. That's what I want to see. And just snail it down. When you snail this, you really want to line it up with the outside. Don't go by the fold, because whenever you're folding something, it has to have a little room to do its fold thing. So line it up against the edge. And when I was cutting this, I was basing it on the outer edge. Okay, so there we go. Boom, 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 boom. All right, so that's the front part so far. And now I'm going to take some more bumblebee, and I'm going to take the 2 circles again, not the circle from the dies, but from the layering circles, and I'm going to cut a frame. Now we're going to make a border around the circle here. So what we're going to do is take our layering circles, and we're going to take the 3rd and the 4th largest circle. And you can just go ahead and take this, because they do fit in together quite nicely. Just layer them up like that, and take some tape and tape it down and run it through all at once, and it'll make a frame. Now we need 2 of these, so 1 for the front and 1 for the back. So I'm going to do that, and I'll be right back. So this is what it's going to look like when you cut it out, and this is what the outline's going to be like. So now go ahead and take your snail. Normally on something like this I would fine tip glue it, but I really want it to stick right away. I don't want to wait for glue to dry. So I'm going to take that and just kind of take off the webbing with your finger, and then place the outline over the open circle. So it'll look like that. The next thing we're going to do is take this frame from Ornate Frames and cut it in bumblebee. So I'm going to do that real quick, and I'll be right back. There you go. So the only thing we have to do next to the card is take this, put it on some dimensionals. Now I'm going to make the stars for the card, and what I'm going to use is the Stitch Stars dies, and we're going to be using this particular one. And what it does when you don't want the middle part is, if you were going on the out part, it would make that kind of a negative. So it's a really cool die. And I'm going to take these little tiny ones and make little tiny stars and affix them to the card. So I'm going to make a bunch of those, and I will be right back. I actually really like that little arrangement there. So I'm going to go ahead and take my fine tip glue and my take your pick tool with a little putty thing on the end, pick up that star and put that glue where I want it on the card, and then take the star again. Now don't put too much glue on. If you think you got a little bit too much, wipe it off, and then I'll put it right there. So I'm going to glue those up, and I'll be right back. So I was making this card, and I was starting to do the inside, and I wondered why I made the black background on my planet. So I started thinking maybe it might look better with blue. And then I thought, well, you know what? The rest of this card has gold in it. It's like, maybe I should put a gold around it. And I thought, oh, that looks so much better. So I am all for changing minds. So we are going to peel very, very carefully off these first 2 here. Let's see if it'll work, because I did use tear tape and glue dots and all kinds of things to hold this down. So we're going to take that off very carefully, and I am just going to give this a shot without trying to ruin oh, look at that, I did it. So we're all gonna change our mind. And then while I'm at it, I'm gonna take this off as well. Yay. And then we're gonna take that gold circle. So take your 2 circles like we did before and make another circle. So there, see, looks a lot better. I like it this way. So nothing like changing your mind. So that's the front, and let's do the inside. So before we start doing anything over here, I want to do this side. And I really liked this part of the DS paper that has the bumblebee on the back, because I think it looks a lot brighter than if I were to use like this dark color, even though they're both very nice. I just thought this one was a little nicer. So I want to cut this circle out with this paper. So let's go ahead and tack a little bit. Now this paper is cut at 5.5 by 4 and like 1/8 because I want to miss the fold again. So I only snailed down these two corners, and I'm going to match it up here. And the reason why I'm doing that is because I'm going to flip this over, and then I'm going to take a pencil. I'm going to take this pencil, and I'm going to draw where I've put that paper. So when I line up my circle, I know where to put it. Okay, so I'm going to pull this off. I'm going to flip this over, and I can see the circle. So I know the circle is right there. So I'm going to take some of the purple tape, and I'm going to make sure I tape that on. Now remember that that edge is right on the inside, so just best as you can match that up. Okay, and I'm going to cut this. I'll be right back. And then let's take off the tape. Remember to put this circle on with the other dies because it looks so similar to the layering circles. You don't want to mix them up. Even though on the layering circles it'll say Sizzix on here, and because they were from when we used to get the dies there. So keep those apart. And then you should be able to tack this again right over the spot. So looks like that. So that looks really nice. So I went ahead and I put down a piece of 5.5 by 4 1/8 of the DS paper, this green one here. And what's on the front of this green paper is this beautiful blue paper. So I went ahead and put that on, and I cut it 4 1/8 because I want to miss, of course, the fold here. Now we need to be able to put a sentiment in here. So I had kind of a cool idea. So what I did is I took this die here and I cut it out in gold foil, and then I cut the top off. Then I took the largest layering circle and the second largest layering circle, and I cut this in bumblebee, and then I cut the other one like this. I just laid it over the gold foil like that and cut that in gold foil. So what I'm going to do, first of all, I'm going to put my sentiment on, because this is where the sentiment is going to go, and you're going to put to and from on. So I'm going to take that, and I'm going to stamp Life's a Beautiful Journey, and I got in my paper pumpkin Misty Moonlight, because we can't even get the inks yet, not until June 3rd. We can get the paper, that's why I have all the papers, but not the inks. But I'm cheating because I got this in my paper pumpkin, so I get to use it. And it works great on this suite anyway, so I kind of lucked out. So I did that, and I'm going to do it on the top so you can put your name underneath. And it's on the stamping pad. I know that I don't need it with these stamps, but I think it makes a better contact personally. So we've got that. And we're going to take our card, and I'm going to take that piece that I cut from gold foil, and I'm going to put some snail on it. Then I'm going to put it right here in the middle. And then I'm going to take the gold and the bumblebee paper here, and I'm going to just kind of line them up. Actually, I can snail this. I can snail the whole thing, to tell you the truth. And then put this on top, like so. And then put this on like it's holding up a globe, like here. I thought I'd go ahead and take this little die here and cut this out also in gold foil, and take my fine tip glue and glue it up here. And then place one, I think I liked it this way, with the bigger loop at the top, believe it or not. And I'm going to take the other one and glue it up and put the second one right here. And that's it. That's the card. So you went through my whole process. I totally created this card on the fly. So this is kind of cool. It does do its little twirly thing here, and you open it up, and this is it. So that's my card. Please, if you like the card, please subscribe to my YouTube channel and to my joyofcards.com. And here's my host code for May. I'll have a June one at the beginning of the month, and that'll do it. Bye.